Let's talk about Jon Jones for a second, because this is a fight that we were thinking about last summer. It never materialized. It never came to fruition. And now all of a sudden, this fight is over. Francis is the champion, and Jon's talking about show me the money. And of course, I want to fight in the heavyweight division, but I also want to get it paid. I think Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou would be one of the biggest fights in UFC history, one of the most lucrative fights in UFC history. I mean, could you imagine Jon Jones, the greatest light heavyweight champion of all time, moving up to heavyweight to fight that man, Francis Ngannou? That's massive, massive box office right there. That's a huge fight. You have to figure out how to make that fight happen.
He's done. That's it. That's it. Wow.
Knockout. Vicious uppercut.
Wow.
Man, this guy is super strong. Look at this. He has
There's
it.
he got it. Wow. Francis Ngannou by submission, round one.
Factory in Paris. They bring in guys.
Oh, Ngannou knocks Arlovsky down. That is it.
Matchup with Ngannou.
Down goes the Reeve. Francis Ngannou has arrived!
One of the baddest heavyweight fights in a very, very long time. The #1 heavyweight contender of the world, Francis Ngannou, versus the heavyweight champion of the world, Stipe Miocic.
The first time they fought in January of 2018 in Boston, Massachusetts, Francis came out strong. He landed some big shots, but Stipe took those shots. And then, of course, he got really tired. He gassed out and essentially did nothing for the next 4 rounds.
Obviously, I'm not taking credit of Stipe. He was a better fighter that night. But when I look at that fight, I hate watch that fight because I don't recognize myself.
Since then, had that fight against Derek Lewis, his confidence was shot. He was booed out of the T-Mobile Arena.
After 2 losses, you can't just walk around and tell people that everything is okay. That's a lie. You know, you stand up, like, question yourself about what's happened, about what they mistake.
And then he went on this amazing 4-fight winning streak. None of those fights went longer than 71 seconds.
Oh! Over the top with the right hand! Does Blade's recovery still wobbly on his feet? Mark Goddard's taking a closer look.
That's it! Francis Ngannou wins in Beijing, double quick!
What a power shot over the top from Francis Ngannou!
He's back!
In a hard time, but listen, man, I'm back.
Much has been made of Velasquez's injuries, but in terms of his body, he's never felt more confident in it.
Oh, he got hurt.
Velasquez is
That's
hurt.
it.
And
That's
Ngannou
it.
closes the show.
Oh my
Just
goodness
like that,
gracious.
Francis Ngannou has knocked out Cain Velasquez.
As I said before, I'm back, and you're gonna see me around.
Huge shot from Ngannou! To Sussex in a world of pain! Francis Ngannou!
The inside leg kick is there for Biggie Boy.
Oh! It's over.
Rosen strike is out!
Whoa!
Ngannou!
Out bad! With a performance like that, it's hard to deny you any longer. I'm sure everyone's going to want to see you fight for the title next.
And so he finally gets this title shot after campaigning, after being frustrated. The first round, he was aggressive but poised. He was patient. He was measured. He was landing big shots, and Stipe, to his credit, was taking those shots, but it just felt like a different kind of Francis, a Francis who was using other tools in his arsenal. And what a freaking performance. And then in the second round, rocks Stipe. Stipe then rocks him, gets aggressive, gets a little too confident, and then he nails Stipe with that left hook, an amazing left hook, right on the money.
What do you think about a potential fight with one of the greatest, if not the greatest, mixed martial arts fighters in the history of the sport, Jon Jones, now moving up to heavyweight? That will be your first title defense.
Francis versus Jon Jones is going to be a huge fight. This is too perfect of a fight. You cannot waste Jon Jones' heavyweight debut against anyone else. Francis is the champ. This will capture the imagination of the mainstream public.
And it's your greatest fighter of all time in Jon Jones against your most dominant champion probably ever. You will have what UFC has always coveted but never quite got to, a viable, star-filled heavyweight era.
Who's going to win, John Jones and Francis? And after seeing that and seeing the improvement of Francis, I don't know. To me, John's the greatest of all time. No matter what his history says, he's the greatest of all time. He's the best we've ever had. But I can't confidently say that he can beat Francis.
If John Bones Jones wins that fight, I don't know how we can look at him and not say he's the best.
I think he has
ever.
the best argument.
Is the best ever.
With John's IQ, his style, his wrestling mixed with Francis, his explosiveness. Oh my God, dude. What a fucking fight.
That will be one of the biggest fights, if not the biggest fight in the history of the sport.
The idea of a John Jones fight seems awfully exciting right now. You think that's a fight that you'd like to put together next? I mean, I know we don't matchmake, but that sure does seem exciting.
I tell you guys this all the time. If you can say you want to fight somebody, you know, but do you really want to?
Here's the deal, Dana. This fight is a potential monster for you. Very little fights have that opportunity to truly reach into the casual fan base across sports and in pop culture. This is one of those. If John wants 25 million or whatever it's going to take, am I crazy? You give him that.
High-level negotiation is what's going on right now. But guys, make no mistake about it. John Jones is not afraid of Francis Ngannou. And if you have to find someone that can piece together a way to solve that puzzle, it's John Jones.
John Bones Jones!
Are we going to see that big John Jones fight later this year? It would be one of the biggest heavyweight fights, biggest fights in UFC history. We'll find out.
For my opinion, John Jones is the greatest of all the time. It's a challenge that I would take and put it on my record. Would be a very good challenge for me.
You gotta think how crazy it is that he went from being a guy who was homeless to 5 years later fighting for the heavyweight title. I mean, it's crazy. That's how talented he is. That's how terrifying he is. That's how special he is. John Jones, youngest guy to ever win the title in the UFC. From then on, has fought more fights as championship fights than he has other fights. So he's the most accomplished for sure.
John Jones, Anderson Silva, George St. Pierre, Demetrius Johnson, any of those names, who's the greatest of all time in your opinion?
John Jones, without a doubt. I mean, I just, if you look at what this guy's been through, what he does, he's unbelievable.
And new heavyweight champion of the world. Francis, how does that feel?
To be doubted by people all the time and finally make your way and technically get them wrong. I think there's a huge feeling of satisfaction.
I've always had a very strong conviction that I could be the greatest ever. And sure enough, through 6 years of belief and hard work, we're here.